Faster than a speeding bullet, more powerful than a locomotive, able to leap tall buildings in a single bound. Look, up in the sky, it's a bird brain, it's a plane, it's iWalter. Yes, it's iWalter, strange visitor from another planet who came to Earth with powers and abilities far beyond those of mortal men. iWalter, who can change the course of mighty rivers, bend ears with his annoying voice, and who disguised as Walter Interranti, mild-mannered janitor for a great metropolitan newspaper, fights a never-ending battle for truth, nonsense, and the American way. And now, another exciting episode in the adventures of iWalter.
Hey everyone, it's me again. Yes, it's Walter. I am back, and I'm going to do a podcast not on your norm, because actually, believe it or not, I have nothing in my mix of tricks. So I'm gonna while I still remember how to say this guy's name, this new actor who is on Doctor Who, playing one of the most famous villains of all times in Doctor Who, is the Master, because the Master is back, but it's a new actor. It's an Indian by descent, but he's a British guy, but he's actually from, he's Indian, if that makes any sense. Making sure I get a thing. Sacha Dhawan is, I believe, the way he said his name, because I kept on listening to a few times before I came on. And again, I think it's Sacha Dhawan. Did I say that right? Because I probably did not, even after kind of listening to it several times. I said, like, hey, you know what? After last week when they brought Doctor Who, after being off a year, I said I'll do one maybe just on Doctor Who and keep away from the political stuff that I try to do and I kind of mess up on. And that's what I'm going to do tonight, because I didn't think I was going to do it right away or at all, but they had this thing called Fathom. I think it's called Fathom. I want to say Phantom, but it's actually Fathom, I think, event at all the movie theaters. And it was with Jodie Whittaker and her companions. There's like three of them, from season 1 and now season 2 a year later. There was a hiatus of 1 year. And they brought back, they said, like, the director, who is responsible for the show now, or I should say the producer, said he wasn't going to, at least the first season, it's going to be all different villains and monsters and stuff. And after the first year, he did keep his promise, but last January 1st, he did bring back a Dalek, and I thought that was really awesome. And there's been hints that they're, because they did a live satellite feed on Jodie, which she was actually in, I believe it sounded like she was in New York with her friends or companions, the actors who play aside of Jodie Whittaker's Doctor Who. And that was actually really good. I hate to say it was really good. The name of the episode, it was 2 parts. It was called Spyfall. And I watched it on BBC America last, no, actually, wait a minute. Yeah, it was just a couple days ago, I believe. I forgot. So I'm way out of whack. It was on New Year's Day. So, because today is the 5th. So I am really out of whack on days. So, and it's Sunday. But it was actually... Okay, it was last Wednesday. This past Wednesday, they had part 1 on. So that wasn't too bad. It wasn't even 5 days later. Well, actually, it was kind of like 5 days later. It wasn't a whole week, let me put it that way. So that was really awesome. So you got to watch part 1. Now, I said to myself, I believe I said on the show, well, I'm not going to, watch it on... what do you call it, on BBC America, because they put too many damn commercials. Excuse me a minute. And I don't like that. I'm trying to adjust my seat. My back is killing me tonight from being out in the cold without a hat on. So that being said, you know, I end up breaking my own promise to myself, and I couldn't wait, and I watched it because it's been over a year now since Doctor Who was on last. Well, exactly 1 year from even that New Year's Day special in 2019. So it's hard to believe it went very fast. I mean, it's kind of scary. A whole year went by that quickly. And, you know, a lot of people who do like Jodie and those who are going to be introduced to Doctor Who with her, you know, her version of Doctor Who, which I don't think people are going to be disappointed. I think people were kind of like upset that they picked a female actor to play Doctor Who, and I was a little bit at first, but she's doing an excellent job. And in fact, the reviews on this one called Skyfall was actually pretty positive. So I know when I first saw it, I guess because it was off a whole year, and it was hard. I honestly will say it was hard to follow up after doing the Doctor Who last January 1st with that one dialect. It was really, really good. It was really interesting. I really enjoyed it. I watched that a couple times. Now, Skyfall, it was a little weak, but the thing that kind of made me not enjoy it that much, quite honestly, was all the damn commercials. There was like one commercial after another commercial, and then I looked at it, was like, wow, this is like really long, because they had it, you know, on BBC America, they had it marked off for like, I think 2 hours. So it was over an hour's worth of commercials for a show that generally is about 45 minutes. The new Doctor Who's are between 45, I think, or 52 minutes. Because the four-parters that back when I was growing up I used to watch, those were approximately about 22 minutes an episode, and there was 4 of them, which equaled out to an hour and a half. So they made the episodes quite shorter. They're more condensed. And I don't know. In some ways it's good and it's bad. So, yeah, they're technically, BBC in UK does not have commercials either, because you got to pay for your television set. You got to pay. There's a tax for TV over in England. So they're generally, though, like I said, I could be wrong, but, you know, don't quote me on this, but I think they're about 45, 52 minutes, give or take. And that's for a full episode. It's not 4 parts. This one was 2 parts, though. So it's been a while since they've had, you know, 2-part episodes. And only 10 episodes this season, so that's kind of unfortunate. So I don't know if they considered part 1 and 2 part of the 10 episodes, or is part 1 and 2 considered one episode like they used to. I don't know. So anyway, they called it, you know, it was supposed to be like a parody kind of thing with Doctor Who, though, with James Bond, because in the first episode they did mention that they're, you know, that they're all in the same universe. The Doctor Who, that Doctor Who is, there's a thing that was made for a while, a TV series that was the code name for when they brought Doctor Who back. And the code name was called Torchwood, which actually turned into a television program, which was like a science fiction / alien doing investigations and stuff. And I know, like, it got picked up, I think, for 1 season. I believe either on Showtime or HBO picked it up, the television program of Torchwood, for season 2 or 3. I forget which one. And that actually was pretty damn good. It was a spinoff, actually, of Doctor Who, though. But it was another type of private organization called Torchwood. So they incorporated MI6, Torchwood, and if you're a Doctor Who fan like I am, there was a thing back with John Pertwee back in 1970 until like pretty much till like 1975 when Baker had taken over. They did continue a few of the episodes with Tom Baker from John Pertwee with Unit. So I forget what it stands for. I should have looked that up. It's not really important. So this episode, they actually incorporated the different divisions. And they actually did incorporate, like the whole thing with James Bond, which is MI6. James Bond was not there, but it was like, it was vaguely mentioned, like, oh, wow. So they made kind of jokes about that. And I actually really kind of liked it and kind of didn't. But I think the thing, again, was all the damn commercials. It just really drove me incredibly crazy. Like, it was just way too many commercials. I did look up Unit. Like, I liked the original Unit that was around back in the 70s. They revamped it with the new series, and it was god-awful horrible. So I personally hope they don't bring back Unit because they kind of ruined it. Yeah, the UN stands for, and Unit stands for United Nations, but I forget what the IT stands for in the abbreviation. Yeah, because I'm looking up Unit now. You can just look it up. It's UNIT, obviously, Unit. It is an acronym. Is that how you say it? And yeah, I remember growing up, I kind of didn't like it, but then it grew on me, and I really did love some of the Pertwee episodes with Unit, the original Unit, though. That was really cool. And a lot of it they got in kind of like some trouble with, because there was a lot of shooting and blasting and people getting shot and killed. I mean, for the time, it was kind of like over the top for, what was considered okay for, a television program that's generally for kids. I mean, it's more than that. So, but yeah, the Skyfall was interesting. But what really made it stand out, Unified Intelligence Task Force. I think that's what it stands for. Unit, I mean. So anyway, my volume keeps on going down. I hope people can hear me. But yeah, the Skyfall on Doctor Who was, at first it was like, because it's been off for a year, they tried to go over the top with a lot of action and stuff for, a Doctor Who episode. And it was okay. But when they brought in, did I say his name? You know what, I already did forget. The guy who plays the Master, Sasha. I believe that's what I said his name was. He comes in and he's like one of the people from MI6 supposedly. But he just kind of drops off the radar very quickly. He gets like canned before he even started, apparently. But the Doctor has like one encounter with this character who, as a joke, they made him, instead of 007, they just made him O. And it was a joke behind that. It was like, yeah, the first time they met, it was like, oh, that's who you're a new person. So it was some type of inside joke on the episode. I'm going to see if I can find this Skyfall Doctor Who. So we got to see it on, we got to see it on Wednesday, the return of Doctor Who in this episode called Skyfall Part 1. But then tonight, if you want to, it's on probably around now. Probably it's going to be repeated several times or 100 times on BBC America, but I don't want to watch it. If you got like your ticket, you could watch Skyfall in the big screen in the movie theater, and then you could watch Part 2. So I wasn't sure about that, but yeah. So they showed Part 1 and 2 back to back, no interruptions, and on the big screen, it was worth it. I think it was like $15, and then there was a live feed with Jodie Whittaker and her companions, which I believe she was in New York. So that was really, really awesome. I kind of liked that. I'm trying to look. And both episodes were really good. The first one went super fast when there's no commercials involved. So, Spyfall Doctor Who. Did I call it Skyfall? It was actually called Spyfall. So I already destroyed that one. So the end of episode 1, since I've already said this, you find out that this guy was part of MI6 and really isn't any longer, is responsible for this thing called, which was not only the name of the episode, it was a key factor in the episode of Spyfall, was a name that, this guy who is known as O came up with, who you find out is actually the Master. So at the very end of the first episode, he does say that, the code name throughout the part one of the episode was called, he did reference Spyfall, and he said Spyfall, who's the master behind Spyfall? He keeps on saying this throughout the episode. And if that wasn't enough, you find out, like, at the very end, because he tries to kill like he always does, he's trying to kill the doctor, and the actor does, Sasha does an incredible job with the Master. Yeah, it's listed as he's listed as O. You find out as the Master, he says at the very end, while he's trying to kill the doctor in a most unique way, he has her go on a jet, and he destroys the cockpit of this jet airplane and leaves her on there, hoping that you're finally, because it's a she now, the doctor, will die. Well, somehow she escapes. And she also figures out how to save her 3 companions, too. So, but the funny thing was, it was the very end of part 1 that he says, I guess you didn't get the, my little trick, because the Master always had, like, sinister ways of, kind of giving you clues, but you had to be kind of aware of his little trickery, as the Master, whoever the actor was. It's the character you got to pay attention to, not as much the actor who's playing the character. And he says at the very end, I guess you didn't pick up on it, Doctor. And he does give clues throughout the part 1 episode. He says clues that really didn't, because you didn't that was the last person you expect, is the Master. Because in the very last actor who played Doctor Who, he also, which I think it was the second to the last, because it wasn't the most recent Doctor Who. I mean, the one before. It wasn't Capaldi. It was actually, I believe, no, it was a couple doctors ago. They had the Master, they had the Master off, but supposedly everybody thought the Master was dead. Oh, yeah, wait a minute. It was Capaldi. I apologize. Yeah, apparently the Master regenerates into a female himself, or a lot of Capaldis, and he renamed himself Missy, which I didn't like it. It was an actress. I love this actress. She's actually really not bad looking, and she played the Master as a female version, which a lot of the younger ladies like, but I just thought it was god awful. But the female version of the Master was called Missy, which was kind of stupid, and I really didn't like it. But they brought back an actor named, I believe it was John Sims, who played the Master in the newer versions of the Master, and Gomez was her last name, an actress. Her last name is Gomez, and she played a female version of the Master known as Missy. And neither one of these actors, which I do like both these actors, I've seen them in other British television programs. Actually, one I've seen, it was called Life on Mars, was this guy, I believe his name's John Sims, or maybe that was the character's name. I got to look at the history of the Master. Played by actors. So while I'm looking up, oh yeah, it is John Sim. Michelle Gomez, she did an okay job, but I did not like Michelle Gomez as the Master. Now the funny thing is, if you look at it, Roger Delgado was the very first actor who played this character of John Pertwee as the Master. And Roger Delgado, you look at his last name, and you can tell it's like an Italian name. I mean, it's Delgado. He was British, too, though. And I didn't like him at first, but he grew on me. Actually, who I liked, which I saw the man in person, was this actor named Anthony Ainley back in the 80s when he played the Master. I actually saw him over Valley Forge Convention Center when it was still there. And I saw him and I was like starstruck because I actually bumped into the man while he was urinating at a urinal. And I said, "Oh my God, it's Anthony Ainley. You're the Master." And he says, "Oh, well, I have one hand free." Yeah, and the bottom line is, he said, "I can give you an autograph with my free hand." It was like, well, I was like 17, 16 years old at the time. And I was so dumbfounded to see, an actor who I really cherished that I didn't think is like, well, this guy's kind of doing his personal business and I'm asking for an autograph. So that was pretty funny, but I really liked him. Actually, Eric Roberts played the Master when they made a movie out of Doctor Who that was supposed to relaunch it with Fox Network, which bombed. So the bottom line is, Eric Roberts was the next person to play Doctor Who back when they were trying to bring it back, and it was a made-for-TV movie called, self-named Doctor Who. Again, it did awful, and unfortunately, so, Doctor Who was put back in hiatus for about 13 years after that until 2005. So I'm not giving you the timeline, but I'm giving you an idea of who played the Master. So there was other actors over the years who played the Master, but just most recently it was John Sims, who again he played on Life on Mars, which was a British show, which was really, really good. And then there was Michelle Gomez, which I did not like. Now I like Michelle Gomez because I've seen her. If you have Netflix, for those who do, she played in a villain on there who was really ruthless on a TV show made strictly for Netflix based upon Archie comics called Sabrina. And she played a ruthless character, but a very good one at the same time. So I personally, I think she's a great actress, and I also think John Sims is an incredible actor. But both of them did the most awful job with the Master. I could not stand either one as the Master. I just thought, personally, the kind of job they did on the character could have been a lot better. And it was definitely probably the worst I've seen of actors playing that character. So, I mean, yeah, you had an American play the part better than the British actors and actress. So, anyway, sorry, somebody was distracting me. The bottom line is, Sasha was definitely a large improvement on the actor who played the Master. And so far, there's been, I think, at least 3 or 4 different actors who played that character. And quite honestly, I think Sasha has done the best job. I mean, he kind of tried to reflected upon previous actors. But then I think he did the best job so far. And he's on the new season of, I think it's season 13 of the new series. It's been on for like 55 years. But I think he's done the best job. So, I was kind of shocked. And, I actually, when he said at the very end, "Oh, I'm the Master of part 1 of this thing called Spyfall," and how he introduced himself, was like, wow, this is really good. He's doing a really good job. He's played on a show called, it was on, it was one of those shows on Netflix Sasha did. He played on, I got to look up his acting thing and figure out what else. It was one of those like Marvel comic type things. and I want to say it's Iron Fist, I think it's called. I did not watch it, but yeah, he apparently, he was on there. I didn't know. So that's like an American show. But yeah, he's known. I'm going to look up what other things he, has done over the years. But honestly, he started out, and it was funny because the second episode, it was the Master at his most, evil, sinister things. And he actually followed the Doctor through different periods of time in the second part episode. And one of the things he does, and he explains himself because he has that British accent, is how he ends up as an SS soldier, a Nazi soldier, which I learned something. I don't know if it's true, but apparently, like, France was in shambles during World War II because they kind of had him as the Master following the Doctor, who ended up during World War II in France, when France was just a pile of practically rubble. So, yeah, I mean, I thought the episode, it was a little too deep for me. Like, it's something I will have to watch again, especially part 2, because it was just kind of a lot to swallow, and they were trying to fit some a bit of history in there, which was kind of good. I mean, it's a show for entertainment, but you can learn something from these shows. So anyway, I'm looking what he did. He actually did a character when they made the history of William Hartnell. They made a movie called The Adventures in Time and Space, and that was in 2013, and Sasha was in that. So I was looking for the show he did on Netflix. He actually played, there's a new version. It's a series called Dracula on BBC, and he actually apparently played in that too. But he's going to be known for now as being the Master, which he did a really good job. Yeah, I'm trying to look on what Marvel... Is that Marvel? I believe. I thought it was Iron Fist. Yeah, here it is. It is Iron Fist, 2017 to 2018. It was a BBC show. BBC. No, that was a Netflix show. I apologize. I'm confusing myself from all the distractions going behind me. But yeah, he going down the list of stuff. It says movies and TV shows that Sasha's been in. He plays, again, the new Master. He's a really good actor too. I have not watched the new Dracula yet. I heard it's pretty damn good. He's also played in Iron Fist, a show called, or a movie it looks like, The Boy with the Top Knot. I already mentioned Adventures of Time and Space. The History of Boys was another movie he played in. Line of Duty, Not Safe for Work was another film. Outsourced, another film he was in. In the Club, Bradford Riots. He looks awfully young. Something College, Worcestershire College, and The Last Train. It looks like he did play in something else with Jodie Whittaker as well. Oh, he actually played in this movie called Splintered, and I did see that. It's a horror film, so yeah, I did see that. A movie called The Deep, The Mystery of Edwin Drood, Wired. I believe that's a TV show. It had Jodie Whittaker in there as well. These are all the things he played in. After Earth, Girl Shaped Love Drug, Lady in the Van. I haven't heard a lot of this stuff. He played in some children's type of television program. Obviously, it must have just been his voice. A program called Out of Sight, Cruel Earth, 5 Days. A program called 5 Days. Some of the stuff's, a lot of it's British. He is British. But, yeah, the second part, he did a really good job. And the twist, I think, on the second episode, which really just put him over the top of being the Master, is his hatred for the Time Lords, which has always been there, because there was that one episode where the Master goes back to try to regain. He used up all his regenerations. It was one with Tom Baker, and he's just basically a husk, just a skeleton. And he tries to destroy Gallifrey. Well, guess what? He actually in Skyfall Part 2, Sasha's version of the Master successfully tells the Doctor, have you seen Gallifrey lately? It's all in rubble. It's been destroyed. And he doesn't tell her that, he doesn't tell the Doctor, I should say, or the same thing at this point, that he was the one who destroyed the planet. So he waits till she goes there, and then he leaves like a hologram message on her TARDIS. And he says, you know who destroyed Gallifrey? That's the home planet of the Time Lords, where the Doctor and the Master come from. He said, it was me. And he said, I was so angry with what they did, or what they did not tell us about Time Lord history. And I think at this point, I think everybody knows about the Time Lord history if you're a big Whovian fan like me. But he took his temperament by basically destroying everybody, like literally wiping out all the Time Lords, which the Daleks in one of the episodes with the new Doctor Who's, and I brought it back, at one time the Daleks had destroyed all the Time Lords, and then that was erased because the Doctor went and rewrote time and put Gallifrey in a type of bubble. So, I mean, it's been pretty interesting. But this time, which, again, like I said, the Master did do so before. He did destroy Gallifrey. Well, this time, or almost did. And I can't remember that name. Oh, Deadly Assassin. Yeah, that was the name of the episode. Deadly Assassin with Tom Baker. And it was right before Anthony Ainley became, like, the Doctor Who. And it was some actor in between. I think there was actually two different actors who they really didn't show his face because the Master was completely mangled at that point. He was just like a dried up husk. So, the thing was, the new Master, his new body. Oh, and another thing is, which I really liked, was they brought back real old school stuff with the Master, with the new Master. And the first thing he does, and he uses, which he had not used in the new series from 2005 on, when they reintroduced the Master, was his what was called the antimatter compression eliminator, which basically shrinks people down to like a doll size to the point that they basically they die. That was the Master's toy from John Pertwee on. Even with like Tom Baker, was the Master's weapon that he invented himself that basically killed people by shrinking them down to like a doll, and basically they would die. He would compress all their atoms in their body down to like the size of a doll. So they brought that back, and he actually perfected his weapon of choice, the Master's, which you didn't see for a long time. And he now can shrink people down to the size of like a pinky. So the first person he killed was the person that then he had taken that person's identity and became that person. And he put the person's body in a matchbox. And he says, I just keep it on hand just as as a token of what he did. Like he was proud that he killed somebody and shrunk their body down to the size of like their pinky, or even like a matchstick. And then he threw the body in the matchbox, a box of a wooden box. You put matches, like those little paper ones. And he kept it as a memento of how proud he was on what he did, the Master. So, it was the first time that was like for me, that was great. That you see the Master back to his old tricks. And yeah, a lot of the visuals in the new Doctor Who were quite impressive. I thought they did a very good job, and the interior of the TARDIS definitely got a lot bigger. You did not hear about that from 2005 until now. Another thing, which is like, God, it's hard to believe, like 15 years ago, was the fact that you never heard about, years ago on the original Doctor Who's, you knew that there was other rooms inside the TARDIS. That disappeared in the new Doctor Who. There was that one big room, and that was it. Well, they revamped that there is more to the TARDIS than just one room. They actually put a door in season 2 of Jodie Whittaker's, and she tells the people, like the companions, when they go on, if you need a change of clothes because we're going into a different situation, go beyond the console room. There's another room where, I got a change of clothes, a change of attire that are appropriate for where we're going. So you never heard about that for, the first practically almost 15 years or whatever of the show. Well, it was like 12 years of the show. So they're slowly going back. They were doing that for a while, even with the other producer, where they're going back to like more of an old school type of feel to Doctor Who. So that was one that I thought was like most impressive. Like that, the anti-matter compression eliminator of the Master's toy. Sasha, who now plays in the new Doctor Who, the new actor, he's incredible. The TARDIS being bigger, and I'm hearing a lot of people who weren't impressed with Jodie in season 1 are actually saying that they are much more happy with her version of Doctor Who in this season. So, that all being said, that's to me, that's very impressive. I was already convinced. You didn't have to convince me about Jodie Whittaker. I liked her. I didn't like the first episode, but I really liked her. So, and I liked what they did. I do like the Master. Like I said, they try to add some history. Actually, they try to add history of different, which I didn't know, because you learn something from these shows too, even though it's just science fiction. But they do kind of, they do mention like certain people, characters, and where like computers like originated from, like the word computer before it even came around in existence. Like nowadays we think of computers, we think of, the PC in front of us, or even our cell phone can be considered a computer. But a computer is basically some type of glorified calculator, but with binary numbers. So they kind of like, that's why I want to watch, not tonight, obviously I won't do it again, because I need to kind of digest what I watched. But she does kind of show you the importance of where the word computer came from, where it originated from. The idea, which according to the Doctor Who, is like the origins of what led to us to where we're at now, like technology and computers, started back in like the mid 1800s. Now, it was not called a computer. It wasn't anything remotely close. But, there's that domino effect or whatever you call it, or that progressive thing, whereas, we add on, or we do something different, with knowledge. Like we start with a grain of an idea, and where, it starts from somewhere, and that idea leads to something else. So that was the whole point of episode 2. Now, the parts with the Master are really good, but she shows like key factors in time of like important people. Now, they were women that I've never even heard of. So yeah, there's something to be, to learn from these episodes, as well as enjoying them. like key women in history that probably really aren't ever acknowledged. And one was somebody who was very important. I can't even remember the characters' names. I could try to look those up. Let me see if I can do that. Since I'm going to try to make this an hour show, if I can. Doctor Who Spy Fall. But yeah, that was really fun tonight, watching it on the big screen. And for those, unfortunately, it was that many. Was really worth it. I'm trying to see if I can figure this out. With Henry portraying Daniel Barton and Stephen Fry, head of MI6. No, it's not really given. Maybe because it just was on. But yeah, it was actually really good. Okay, that's part one though. That's probably why. But yeah, there's a lot to be said about part two. Now, I don't know what, because it just, I got to see it earlier this afternoon. It was on tonight, so people are going to start putting up their, their comments and their reviews. Chris Chibnall is the new producer of Doctor Who. Now, Chris worked with Jodie on another show that she played a real doctor. And he really liked her. She was the main character in this other show. I think it was called, I can't remember now. But yeah, Chris Chibnall, yeah, he did play, now he's exclusive producer of Doctor Who. And he's actually done I was very leery about a lot of stuff that he did. But yeah, it seems like what I'm gathering, it's getting really good reviews on the first two episodes. Definitely an improvement from the way the show was going. I'm sorry I can't find, folks, the name of these characters. I was to even put in famous women. Again, it's one that I do need to kind of watch myself again. Yeah, it's not showing it. Well, that was a real deep, yeah. But yeah, one was like a spy from World War II. And the other character was from like the mid 1800s. Yeah, because I was kind of curious. Let's see. I think I did find I can't say that. Let me see if I can find who the person was in real life, at least for the one. Yeah, these are based upon real characters. The female character from World War II was a female spy who they put the planet in France. It's a real person. Was a British heroine from World War II, renowned for her service in. Her name was Noor Inat Khan. It's a real person. So yeah, I mean, most people don't hear about these real life people. So that's what Doctor Who's about. And I don't have a problem with that. I wish I could remember the other character in this Doctor Who. I want to try to keep it within an hour, folks, like I always do. But yeah, I mean, yeah, there was something. Honestly, I'm not just saying it. There's something to learn off the Spyfall Part 2, and 1 was very enjoyable. Don't get me wrong. I'm trying to say, I'm trying to actually fix my spelling, too. Let me see. Boy, I wish I could spell. Sorry about that. Spyfall Part 2. Famous Women in Spyfall Part 2. Yeah, I can't find it. There's some woman that was kind of, they're saying, that were like important factors in history. So they were important women in history. And yeah, I actually I like learning stuff. I like learning stuff I don't know. And if I can do it and be entertained, that's one thing on top that okay, here's the other character. Ada Lovelace is the other character that the Doctor gets in. Yeah, it says first computer program in 1840. Babbage was invited to give a seminar at the University of Turin. Is it Turin? So, yeah, they had two different famous women of history. And Ada Lovelace was the other one. I guess she must have had a different name. But that's where they like, see, I didn't know this stuff. So it was really interesting. A lot of people say, oh, people were actually the one on in the first season. They had, oh God, the woman who was a black woman who refused to sit on in the back of the bus. They did one on that person of history, and that was a really good episode. I enjoyed that one. But August Ada King, Countess of Lovelace, born December 10th, 1815, and was from, so she died 27th of November, 1852, was an English mathematician and writer, chiefly known for her work on Charles Babbage's proposed mechanical general purpose computer. So she is known for she's pretty much known for the first computer. Now, it's not what we know as a computer, but a thing that, wow, that's very complicated. Diagram, there's a thing, if you look it up on Wikipedia, diagram for the computation by the engine of the numbers of Bernoulli or something. I can't pronounce that. That's really, it's intriguing though. It's something that I don't know where when I think of computers, I thought they just started anything related to computers. Not the way it is the way I think of it now, has only been in just recent times, but actual computations or computing, it goes back almost, according to this, what is that, like almost 200 years, I guess. You know what? Let me get my other computer type of device, my on the desktop what do you call it? 1852. It's 2020 minus 18, because I can't do this stuff in my head. I'm not that smart. Almost 200 years, 168 years ago. So, yeah, there was much to be said, much to do about nothing. But, yeah, it was a very good episode, both parts of Doctor Who, of Spyfall. Anyway, I'm getting there, and I'm going to kind of cut this short because I don't think people are going to find this that interesting. Walter talking about watching Spyfall and how I like the new Doctor Who episodes, because they were really, really good. That's what I can say. And you know what, folks? I apologize. I think my dad's been trying to sabotage my show all tonight. I don't know why. Since I walked through the door, he's been I tell him I'm doing something, he just makes as much noise as possible. But yeah, I would probably say if you're not a big Doctor Who fan, you may actually enjoy what was put on this week. Part 1 and part 2. It's about 2 hours worth programmed right there. So between the 2 parts of the new episodes with Jodie Whittaker. Yeah, that was very fun tonight too. I enjoyed myself. So folks, I'm going to sign off for now. And I didn't mention this last time, but I played a piece from my friend Matt Tarns, and I don't remember the name. So he makes original music, and if anybody besides Matt and myself listen to my podcast and they say, hey, that was a pretty good piece at the end of your show, and you would like to know the name of it, just let me know, because I will gladly look it up and let you know. But right now, I honestly don't. I'm going to use another piece from Matt tonight, and that one I can look through our text and see if I can find it, because it was one he sent. I'm going to use the one, Matt, you had posted for me and Ed Rick, known as Noise Groove. I'm going to use that one tonight. There was one I used from Matt, and it's too far back for me to find it. But it was pretty interesting, and I decided to use it. And I apologize, Matt. I don't know the name. And you know what? I'm going to make a little noise. And because I'm going to move my mic, so it's going to make a little noise. And I'm going to look that up on, and that wasn't too bad, for the other one I used, if I can find it. Because, Matt, your stuff sticks out on my, I think it was either Stoner Band was another piece from you, Matt. And I think that might have been it. Maybe it was Stoner Band. The piece you said was a little long. I don't think it was that long. So tonight it's going to be Noise Groove at the end of the show. And you folks, I hope you enjoy it. I hope you enjoyed my nonsense about talking about Doctor Who for this long. I actually did somehow successfully make an hour show out of it. So hope you enjoy it. Happy New Year's for those folks who I did not do a New Year's show. So this is kind of like a post one. And even though it's just about Doctor Who. And everyone, again, I'm going to mention this. I don't know when I'll be doing another podcast, because I'm not really doing them normally on a normal basis anymore, for one reason or another, and I'm fine with that. I think everybody else is too. So everyone, have a happy New Year's. It's hard to believe it's 2020, and I am going to sign off for now.